Development of prop for native leaning trees in an urban setting in the Philippines. This presentation will discuss why are our native trees important and existing conditions, the project objectives, conceptual framework, design parameters, design concepts, concept and development evaluation, and the final design. So why are our native trees important? They provide habitat for native wildlife. Our wildlife depends on these trees because they provide their essential needs. For example, these animals are the Philippine pangolin, tarsier, Philippine woodpeckers, and Pacific swallows. They all live in these native trees. Without them, they will become extinct. So, number two, they protect people from natural calamities like landslides, floods, storms, and drought. They also enhance the look of the community. For example, the flowers of ilang-ilang and nara are very pleasing to the eyes. According to the status of land classification of NCR in 2018, surveyed by the DENR, the total area of NCR is 63,600 hectares. The certified alienable and disposable land is 48,232 hectares. That land can be disposed into greenery or forestry, but the total forest land of NCR is only 15,368 hectares. The national park 59 hectares and the established timberland 237 hectares. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, it has been established that the percentage of native species in a city should not be lower than 70%, with the urban forest based on a multi-layer structure including trees, shrubs, and grass to improve biological diversity and ecological functions of forests and green plots. But out of 63,600 hectares, only 24% is covered in forestry. So NCR is lower than average, way lower. So why are our native trees in decline? There are two reasons, natural and direct anthropogenic. Natural is anything that occurs naturally, like forest fires, pests, and natural calamities like typhoons, floods, and landslides. While direct anthropogenic is directly caused by humans like logging, urbanization, or industrial development, cattle ranching, or mining. So these are examples of what natural degradation looks like. So these trees are after a storm. This is what happens after a huge storm when you plant exotic trees mostly. Now this one is an illegal construction inside the Ipo watershed. This is an example of direct anthropogenic degradation. So in 2011, there was this program issued by the government and was assigned to DNR. It was called the National Greening Program of 2011. They aimed to plant 1.5 billion trees and 1.5 million hectares. This is an example of fresh forestation. The target was too big and ambitious, and they also considered planting exotic trees, which are very invasive. So, out of all those trees, only 12% out of 1.5 million survived. So, the main issue was the lack of care. Most of the trees ended up dying because the number of personnel was too small as compared to the scope of the job. So, according to the Commission on Audit, the biggest problem was timing, wrong species, and they blamed climate change. So, what are these exotic species approved by the DNR that should not have been approved in the first place because they are very invasive, they cause trouble to biodiversity, our economy, and the human health? Yemene or Gemelina is a deciduous and short-lived tree. It is usually used for carpentry, joinery, furniture components, and other household fixtures. It's used for plywood and also used as fuel wood. Acacia mangium or mangium, a medium-sized broadleaf legume with a height of 10 to 30 meters and straight bough that may be unbranched for more than half of its total height. The purpose of this is for timber, molding, furniture, veneer, fuel wood, and charcoal. For paper as well, it can be used as an ornamental tree, boundaries, and a windbreaker, and more. It's also medicinal. Red gum or Eucalyptus camaldulensis is a 10 centimeter diameter and 15-meter tree. It's fire resistant, and when cut down, it regenerates by coppicing even up to 6 or more rotations. So this one is very invasive. It cannot die easily. So its uses are for lumber, post, fuel wood, for medicinal and landscaping purposes. Ore or Acacia auricoliformis is a small tree with a generally crooked trunk with a diameter of up to 60 centimeters and a height of 30 meters. So its uses are for fuel wood, wood pulp, shelter belts, furniture, building posts, fence posts, for end fixation and soil improvement. Neem or the Azadirachta indica is a medium to large tree. It has a relatively straight trunk with moderately thick bark and deep growing roots, so this is used for insecticide and medicine. It can be used for the construction of buttresses, fences, and handles of farm implements. The leaves are used for feeds. The neem extract is used for fertilizer and energy generation. So 1 out of 5 is native. Only 1 out of 5 trees planted during the National Greening Program was native and is native. Again, native trees are important because it provides habitat to its coexisting wildlife and it has already adapted to its environment. So these are the native trees that should have only been planted during the National Greening Program, or if you're planning to plant a tree. These are the native trees that you should consider. These trees are also approved by the DNR. Nara, it grows up to 40 meters. It has a dense drooping crown and usually narrow and thin and deep. The uses are for furniture, red dye, and it's also medicinal. Philippine mahogany grows up to 30 to 40 meters. An annual shedder during summer, has smooth and shiny leaves. The uses are medicinal, firewood, carving, boat building, veneer, and paneling. Molave, it grows up to 20 meters or more. It has small extended stamens cramped together that looks like a powder puff. The uses are for railroad ties, shipbuilding, agricultural implements, novelties, furniture, and medicinal. Agoho is an evergreen tree that grows up to 15 to 50 meters and 20 to 100 centimeters in diameter. It has a straight trunk and has dark wood. It is an effective windbreaker. Palawan cherry grows up to 10 to 15 meters. It has pink flowers and in loose panicles. Its uses are for ornamental and shade. Ilang-ilang grows up to 2 to 4 meters in height. It has yellow flowers that looks like a bell. It's used for perfume and it is used for ornamental reasons and can be made into a rope. So what's the objective of the study? The main objective is to decrease the decline and ensure the right growth of Philippine native trees in an urban setting. Sub-objectives are to create a prop that can straighten a native tree at its early stages, to prevent native trees from leading and ending by being cut down. The target of the study is the youth stage, which consists of large juveniles and small saplings. So why the youth stage? They are prone to damage and they need extra care in order for them to be vertically straight. Other objectives is to find the right angle and position to straighten a bent sapling or pole. What material should be used in the different types of weather conditions that my product would face. The conceptual framework is based on all research in order to create an ideal tree support. So, finding the placement, you have to find the center of gravity. In order to find the center of gravity, you have to measure the tree and then divide it by 2. But if you're eyeballing, measure from the ground up and estimate what is 1/3 or 2/3 of the tree. So there is a proper way of staking a tree. Number 1 is to add the stake and avoid piercing the root ball. Place it on the prevailing wind side. Number 2, the stake should be buried to a depth of at least 60 centimeters in the soil beyond the planting hole. Number 3 is to attach the strap to the end of the stake, making sure that the stake cannot touch the trunk. When tying the webbing, you should use a figure-8 pattern so the tree could have free movement still. Some qualified webbings are polypropylene, polyester, Kevlar, and nylon. In this chart, you will see the criteria used to choose what's the best webbing. It's stretch, cost, water resistance, UV resistance, and melting point. Nylon prevailed because it had the most consistent rating and did not rate low in any of the characteristics of what a quality webbing should be. Stake consideration materials: bamboo, chestnut, and locust. So bamboo one, why? Because it's cheap, lightweight, and convenient. Chestnut deteriorates easily because of moisture. It's not ideal because you're going to put it inside the ground and the Philippines is very humid. Locust, it's too rare and valuable, even though it has the best stats. Praise consideration materials are stainless steel, galvanized steel, and aluminum. Galvanized steel one because it has liquid zinc, which protects the main sheet from corroding, and it's also the cheapest among the choice. There are three stake systems: single, double, and triple. Single holds the tree in an upright position using a flexible strap or cord, allowing the tree to have free movement. So single uses only one stake. Double uses two stakes or a wooden crossbar that is attached to the tree very near, so the tree is not able to move. The triple stake system use, uses three stakes, which you have to place at a 120-degree angle and then place it in the ground. So actually, you're not staking anymore, you're guying the tree. So why the single stake system? The single stake system one. According to My Minnesota Woods on staking and guying trees, the rule of thumb is to use fewer when the tree is small. So my project only considers saplings and poles, so one is enough to keep it vertical. Concepts based on conceptual framework. So this concept looks like a screw that has a cap. You have to tie the webbing and then attach the other end of the webbing to the screw, and then you have to wrap it around and then you put the cap on so the webbing wouldn't loose, and then you have to hammer it in the ground. The next concept looks like a tripod. It's designed like that so that it will have better balance. The third concept actually designed three parts: the brace, the webbing, and the stake itself. So the brace will be attached to the tree. The webbing has some sort of mechanism that can tighten it, and the stake has spikes on it so it can grip in the ground better. This is designed to look like a clamp, so it's very convenient. It uses a double stake system. It has two stake holders, this one and this one, where you put your stake in, and then you just attach it like a clamp. So this one has 4 different levels of hooks. So the height is not adjustable, but your webbing, you can adjust it to where height you want it to be. It has spikes on it as well, so it can grip better in the ground. This one, the handle can rotate and it has a stake holder. The handle rotates so you can adjust the angle of how your stake would be, and it has a brace where you can attach it to the tree. It also has 2 other stake holders, so this can be a single stake system or a triple stake system. This one is also designed to look like a clamp. It has 2 stake holders, so it's a double stake system. You put your stakes in there. It's very straightforward, doesn't have the handle like the other concept. This one is a single stake system, but it has like extra cushioning inside so it won't damage the trunk, and it also locks. Now this one, you have to screw it on the tree so it won't move. The good thing about this, it does not move, but the bad side is it damages the tree, which is bad. So you have to loop your webbing, and then the other end of the webbing you have to nail it to the ground and hammer it. Now the last concept is the stake. I only designed the stake. It's not adjustable like the other ones with the spike, but the spikes of this is more, it's bigger. So the grip is there. And then you have to use the figure 8 knot and then place it in the loophole. And then you hammer it to the ground. A concepts matrix is used to compare all those 10 concepts. So all of these consumer required features, it's all based on research on how to create a proper tree prop. And so adjustability, convenience, cushioning, flexibility, stability, all of those is needed. So the highest scoring one or the most effective concept is concept number 6. So this is the chosen concept. This concept again has an adjustable handle with a hole or slot at the end where the stake would be placed, and it has a ring or a brace where the trunk will be placed, and it has 2 extra stake holders. So that concept is going to be developed. I developed it into 5. So these are the developments. Development number 1 is very straightforward. It does not use a stake, instead it uses a webbing. Development number 2 uses a stake, but the stakeholder is not adjustable, so the whole prop is just going to be 90 degrees. It also has a lock. The third development has an adjustable stakeholder, but the design of the stakeholder is not secure enough for the stake to be there. The fourth development has a better stakeholder. It also rotates or adjusts. It's adjustable. You insert your stake there and it's secure. The brace is detachable, so you can compensate on what the diameter of the trunk of the tree you're going to place your prop is on is. And then the fifth development is very cushiony. It uses an elastic material where you place your stake, and yeah, it has extra cushioning so it won't damage the tree. So the final design is this one. This design has an adjustable feature in where you insert the stake of choice. Recommended is bamboo, of course. In this place you insert your bamboo. It has an adjustable screw lock for the ring here. And it has cushioning inside to prevent damage to the trunk. So this is my 3D rendering. So how to use the product? First, you have to assess the placement. Then second one is you stake the bamboo in the ground deep enough. Then the third one, you place your brace. Then the fourth one is you put your screws and then you lock it. So there it is, product in use. So these are my technical drawings, orthographic and exploded view. This is the orthographic projection. The diameter of the brace is 9 centimeters and the total length of the prop is 27.94 centimeters. For exploded view, here are the parts: the stake slot, the rod and the nut, the handle, the nut and the cover, or the bolt, the cushioning, and the detachable ring. Cost estimate: the tree prop costs around 1,058. One bamboo shoot costs 50 pesos. Nylon usually sold in a roll of 10 meters, 213. Galvanized steel, the thinnest sheet there is, 540 pesos. So for the labor requirements, you have welding, cutting, and assembly. Welding costs 72 per hour. Cutting costs 135 per hour. Assembly costs 48 an hour. So all in all, the total is 1,058.